NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. Canadians are struggling to meet their basic needs, and this government has decided the only solution is to tax Canadians more. This new capital gains tax will add a 30% tax increase on food producers at a time when the cost of food has already skyrocketed. The last thing Canadian families need is increased financial stress because of tax on our food supply chains. Why is this NDP Liberal coalition imposing this job-killing tax hike on Canadians?
Well said. I wish next time she would be able to say it without her paper, but nonetheless, none said. Well said. Mr. Speaker.
Let's be very clear about the facts. In an average given year, only 40,000 individual Canadians have capital gains above $250,000 a year. That's 0.13% of our population. And we believe that it makes sense for
I feel like this got debunked,
shoulders,
even by CBC.
everyone else. Conservatives can tie themselves in knots trying to justify policies that are ultimately about austerity and cuts. That's no.
Drop some L's in the chat for Freeland.
Well, they certainly gave their uber-rich friends enough time to move their money and are about to give their best friend, carbon tax Carney, $10 billion. Not only will this new capital gains tax increase financial stress, but it will prevent families from transferring wealth to the next generation. The Canadian dream is to build a foundation that you can pass on to your children. The capital gains tax is now increasing the pressures on Canadians as they pass on their wealth, their businesses, and their farms. Why does this NDP Liberal coalition want to kill the Canadian dream?
Yeah. Well said.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker,
what's up with her fart-smelling face, man?
Conservatives are so
every time
and inconsistent. There was a conservative who said in 2020, and I quote, "The wealthiest 1% who own the most expensive and luxurious real estate and have in their portfolios the most stocks and bonds and other financial instruments will continue to see their net worth expand, having done nothing, by the way, to deserve that expanded net worth." Who said that? The current conservative.
Brock. Speaker, after 9 years of the NDP Liberals, taxes are up, cost is up, crime is up, and
time is up.
Drug addiction and crime have been running rampant.
I'm glad that he switched his pin out.
Direct result of
Jamie used to wear
drug policy.
the Ukraine pin. Now he's got a Canadian pin.
Overdoses have become the leading cause of death for children in British Columbia.
I notice and appreciate that change.
BC are under a state of emergency due to the drug crisis as they try to protect their children. When will the NDP Liberal coalition admit failure and bring home our loved ones drug-free?
The Honourable Minister for Mental Health and Addictions.
Mr. Speaker, our hearts go out to every community that is impacted by the illegal toxic drug supply. And it's nice to hear the Conservatives actually acknowledge that there is a crisis, because when they were in power, they cut the drug treatment fund by more than 2/3, Mr. Speaker. They're not willing to...
Dude, the whole world sees there's a problem in Canada.
Every level of government involved.
It's like Zombieland.
This side of the House, we've committed over $1 billion to date. We'll continue to do more. When are they going to get on board and work with us?
The Honourable Member from Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock.
Speaker, the answer is clear to Canadians, and the NDP Liberal government failed hard drug experiment and save lives. Rather than stemming the tide of overdose deaths, this Prime Minister's radical experiment has flooded our communities with dangerous opioids. It's even worse in BC's First Nations communities, where people are dying at 6 times the national rate. When the NDP Liberal coalition and this failed agreement, when will they end it and end this failed policy and save lives?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister for Mental Health and Addictions.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we continue to work with every level of government to save lives each and every day. Rather than slogans on the back of a napkin, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we listen to experts, we listen to the communities, we listen to the science. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we believe in the health of communities. On that side of the House, they don't believe in science, they don't believe in data, and they don't believe in saving the lives of Canadians.
That's all they want to do, is save the lives of Canadians. But okay, believe whatever you want.
The honourable member from King Vaughan.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, time is up. Mr. Speaker, across this country we are seeing seniors line up to get their groceries from food banks, skipping medication and living in tents. Mary, a senior in Maple, showed me her heating bill. She received $44 worth of gas but paid $46 in carbon tax. The NDP leader is keeping the Prime Minister in power so he can secure his pension. Why won't the NDP Liberal government call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide?
Yeah. We'll know tomorrow when they do the vote in on confidence.
For Labour and for seniors.
Mr. Speaker, I thought we had heard everything in this House, and then I heard the honourable member. That from the party that has stood up in this House and voted no to every single support that we have brought in for seniors in this country. And that after the Prime Minister for that party, Mr. Harper, went to Davos to the World Economic Forum where he took that opportunity to tell Canadian seniors back home their retirement age was going up to 67. Shame on them, Mr. Speaker.
They've made life unaffordable for seniors. They're literally killing off seniors because older folks can't afford life in Canada.
Canada is following closely the situation between Israel and Lebanon, both because of the danger of escalation in the region, but also because the high number of Canadians in Lebanon. As we have said since October, Canadians should avoid all travel to Lebanon, and Canadians in Lebanon should book a commercial flight to leave the country.
Happening right now,
country or nation
Israel, state of emergency.
Escalation.
Lebanon, everyone's evacuating. Also, Audiobucks, thank you for the $20 super chat. First super chat on live stream.
This Liberal government is allowing the rampant wage theft of truck drivers. Drivers who bring essential goods to Canadians are being taken advantage of because neither Liberals nor the provincial Conservatives have the courage to crack down on shady bosses. Our hardworking truck drivers deserve a government that fights for them. One that
keep truck drivers' names out your
government
freaking mouth.
The Labor Code to protect vulnerable.
Are you kidding me?
Stop the brazen wage theft.
Are you kidding me? What kind of bizarro world is this for that guy to be saying these things about truckers?
The NDP, had they stayed in on a cooperative basis with us, they would know that we have worked closely with both workers and businesses to find an effective and fair solution to this problem. In fact, earlier this year, we changed the Canada Labour Code to stop employers.
What the hell is happening?
As independent
I mean, yeah, truckers, honk, honk, absolutely.
Knowingly misclassifies an employee to avoid their obligation.
Well, he doesn't like truckers. He made that very clear.
And will face consequences.
Good job.
Stream is being tampered with. I don't know if it's Russian interference.
Finance Minister brought up hypocrisy. Last week, it was revealed that Liberal pseudo-minister Mark Carney's company, Brookfield, is lobbying the government for billions for a new corporate climate fund. But recently, a damning report revealed that Brookfield doesn't account for a whopping 92% of its greenhouse gas emissions that investments create. That's hypocrisy, Mr. Speaker. Can the Environment Minister confirm that he and his NDP Liberal partners won't help wealthy unregistered lobbyist Mark Carney get rich by giving billions in subsidies to his greenwashed company?
Yeah, man. All these people are getting insanely rich.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, our government is happy to get advice from Canadians across the country. But let's talk about who the Conservatives get their advice from. They get advice on the cost of living from a Loblaws lobbyist. They get advice on foreign policy and on Ukraine from Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson. And they get advice on women's rights from misogynists and the far right. We will take no lessons from them.
That's right.
Years of these NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up for this high-flying, jet-setting Prime Minister who's off to New York to...
I'm sorry. The honourable member has a voice that carries, but I'm still having difficulty hearing his voice. If I could ask members, please. If I could ask all members, please, to have either quiet conversations or so that we can the chair can hear the answer. The honourable member from Leeds Grenville, 1009 Vila Lakes, from the top, please.
After 9 years of these NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up for this jet-setting, high-flying Prime Minister who's off to New York City to dine with elites while doubling costs for Canadians. While he's there, maybe he could check out the $9 million condo that he got for his media buddy, Tom Clark. They could share a coffee from this $5,000 coffee machine or work on their golf swing at the golf simulator paid for by Canadians. And maybe the Prime Minister can save us a couple of bucks and bunk with his buddy, Tom Clark, at this $9 million condo on Billionaires Row.
The Honourable Minister for National Defence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister of Canada undertakes very important work representing Canada at home.
Yeah, right!
And for example, this week...
Doesn't undertake important work in New York. Are you kidding me? We paid for a $9 million condo in New York.
The Honourable Minister, I'll invite him to start from the top, please.
The Conservatives might have been more comfortable, Mr. Speaker, if I began with a bad poem. However, the Prime Minister undertakes very important work on behalf of Canada at home and abroad. And for example, this week in New York, Mr. Speaker, not only is he speaking at the United Nations General Assembly, but he's also leading and co-hosting the Summit of the Future, talking about key global challenges on sustainable development, international peace and security, technical innovation, digital coordination, decarbonization and clean energy, and human rights. Now, I do appreciate nobody over there appears to care about any of those things, but they are important to Canadians.
Right. The honourable member from Brantford Brant.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of these
Uncle Brock, let's go.
Costs are up.
Crime is up. Time is up.
Since 2015, violent crime has surged by 50%. Shockingly, sex assaults by 74%. Today, the parole board inexcusably granted day parole to a serial rapist who still to drug, manipulate, and coerce victims. Let that sink in. This is not keeping Canadians safe. Who on that Liberal bench approves of this?
Whoa, I didn't know about that, man.
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows very well that the parole board by law operates independently from the government. Our responsibility is to ensure that the appropriate men and women serve on the parole board, something we have done with great seriousness. They know that the most important criteria in terms of an independent decision made by this quasi-judicial tribunal is public safety. My colleague knows that very well, and he should be careful not to increase public cynicism in a way that doesn't serve public safety. He knows very well that's incorrect.
He just single-handedly raised awareness to what the hell is actually happening today in Canada. I did not know about that till Brock just said it.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, the United Nations is arguing that UNRWA employees who participated in the October 7th terrorist massacre are immune from legal action. This is a day which saw 7 Canadians murdered. Let me rephrase that. They're arguing that individuals who contributed to the rape, the murder, and the kidnapping are outside and above the law. So I have a simple question for the
What?
Do they support immunity for terrorists? Yes or no?
Wow, I just got goosebumps from that.
The Honourable Minister for International Development.
Speaker, Canada is committed to ensuring that
the freaking robot, dude.
Aligns with Canadian values and international standards of neutrality. We take any allegations of misconduct very seriously. upon learning of allegations from UNRWA about some of its
This is the very boring thing I have to say.
take action.
I'm going to make it as monotone as possible.
Pending thorough investigations by the UN Office of Internal Oversight Services and an independent review led by former French Minister Catherine Colonna. But it is very rich, Mr. Speaker, for that member to talk about anything to do with the UN, because she would face down her party that wants to quit the UN. A founding member is in Canada.
That's embarrassing.